Listen in as 5 friends take turns weaving stories through the tabletop game of their choice. This is 5 GMs in a Trench Coat.
Hello everyone and welcome to 5 GMs in a Trench Coat. My name is Tanner, I'll be your GM for today, and we're starting the finale, everybody. You guys ready? We'll start.
I'm nervous.
We'll start on my right today.
Am I on the right?
Yes.
Hey guys, it's me, Tanlin. Okay, I play Devon. I'm so nervous.
I'm Jesse, and I play Titus, and he already died once, so he can't die again. That's against the rules.
That's untrue. Hi, I'm Kim, and I play Frankie and B, and I am also very, very nervous. But, you know, she got shot 3 times. She should be fine, right?
Hey there, I'm Adam. I play Jack and Otticelli, and listen, guys, nobody's gonna die as long as we stay close up to Otticelli for him to raise your core temperature. We're gonna be all right.
So last we left off, you guys had returned from breaking Vargas out of prison, and that was the whole thing. Jack stayed behind to help some of the prisoners escape, but you guys are bringing Vargas back to the rebellion in the hopes that she can help you guys with whatever the next step is. You had a conversation with B. B learned some things, or B thinks she learned some things, we'll say. And if you wanna learn what she maybe thought she thinks she figured out, you can go back and listen to that episode. So, you guys are on a ship. You're on tandem ship, the BMTH, and Titus.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking out at the clouds, okay?
Yeah.
And it's been about a month since you guys got Vargas out of prison, okay? A month of time has passed.
So I have my sword cane then?
Yes, you do have your sword cane.
Nice.
So it's been a busy few months. It's been a busy few weeks. Mabel, for a long time, nobody was really saying anything, but Mabel was giving orders to kind of start preparing for something. He didn't make it clear at first as to what you guys were preparing for, but a couple weeks in, he debriefed you on what the next step is. Now, before that, though, Titus, is there anything you would have been doing in the downtime? I think around the headquarters, there's kind of a feel of this is the point of no return now. Like whatever comes next is it. Either something big happens. Well, something big will happen no matter what, but either something really good happens or something really rough is going to happen. Because Vargas is healing, Mabel's giving orders to start stockpiling ammunition, weapons, what have you. Titus, in those first 2 weeks, what do you think you're doing?
Well, he's definitely training with his cane sword, because this is what he's wanted his whole life. And I think he's kind of checking in with Jakura a lot, because right now he's having some, moral quandaries on what he's going to do after the rebellion if they succeed.
Are you still working with her to train her as a dragon rider?
Oh, yeah, that too.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe as you're, looking out at the clouds, you're kind of thinking about, the cane sword training and talking to Jakura about, like you said, what the future, right? I think Tandem and you have been killing some time, too.
Hell yeah,
multiple ways, more ways than one. But Tandem seems rather sober. Not, literally, but less, joyful, less bombastic, Kim.
Yes.
So we were a couple weeks ago with Titus. We're flashing back to the present. You're on the ship.
Uh-huh.
Who's on the ship?
B's on the ship.
Okay. So B, how are you, you have some traveling to do. You guys have a little bit of a ways on the ship. So how are you killing time right now?
Well, before I think we got on the ship, I think she's been thinking a lot about what comes after this. Because she's been very aware of the air, and I think it's been aware before Mabel even brought it up. And I think she's been thinking a lot about what to do after. But she only thinks about that when she has free time, and she barely had any free time because she's helping run the rebellion. So she's been doing a lot of checking in on trainings with, whoever was going with them, making sure everything was good because it's kind of the first time she's leaving in a while, huh?
Yeah, it's been a couple months probably.
It's been a couple
at least.
months, and so she's been doing that. And then also when she's had free time, she has been training again because she hasn't fought in, again, a couple months. And even then, I think, especially after she got her injuries, she didn't feel quite up to par. And so she's trying to do what she can to maybe not have that happen again.
Yeah, so maybe you're kind of lost in thought, like Titus on the ship, thinking about like those couple weeks of like training, helping, like, and also just ruminating on the nature of what the future's gonna look like, right? Devon, you're on the ship. What are you thinking about right now? What did those first 2 weeks look like for you?
I think he's always quiet, but I think it's like tenfold. And maybe he's honestly been just kind of like holed up in his room, not really talking to anybody, doing his own thing. Oh, always doing his own thing. But like,
Are you still taking care of the dragons and stuff?
oh yeah, he's not gonna stop that. But it's just like he's just not. He's just like real quiet.
Avoiding people and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely avoiding people.
Okay. Araceli,
Ew.
you're on the ship.
Yeah.
What's on your mind right now?
So how long has it been since we got Vargash again? He said 2...
It's been a month. But
Okay.
after those first 2 weeks, Mabel had some things to talk about. But those first 2 weeks were the kind of the only like.
So this is what we did in that interim, right? That 2 weeks?
Yeah.
You know, I think that Odyssey's really been thinking about like the nature of magic after seeing the contraption, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and he found it because of how magical it was.
Yeah.
And I mean, while he was gone, a big portion of what he did was finer tune his magic and more understand magic in a sense of like much less like, oh, it's just like I shoot fire, big boom. It's more like, oh, like there's magic is life, like my life. You know, like it's like breathing. I can control it in different ways.
Right.
And I can and so I think honestly he's been doing a lot of like meditation, and I think he's because one thing he picked up when he started like finding his own separate way to concentrate and work on his own magic.
Right.
But I think he's once again like trying to dig deeper into the understanding of magic, as it were, because he knows it's something you can learn, but it's always been intrinsic to him. He's pretty much been magical since he can remember, and so I think he's really trying to dig his heels in on the concept of what magic is and on how dragons use it, how he uses it, and how it's being bent and malformed to do something else, right?
Totally.
And so I think he's really trying to focus in on like seeing what he can do to that capacity, right?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I follow you. Yeah, so you guys are all individually on this ship kind of lost in thought, right? As I think everybody is. Even the crew around you kind of is just silently doing their work. Tandem's not, again, being as rambunctious as usual. He's actually doing stuff, being an actual captain.
Oh. Then what is Jameson doing?
Drinking like a motherfucker. And then, maybe not all sequentially, but eventually your guys' minds move on to the discussion that Mabel had first with you, and then everybody else. But you guys all furrowed into his office, right? And maps, as usual, right? A lot of notes and stuff like that. What's everybody feeling when you're walking into Mabel's office? Because, again, things have been a little, like, somber recently. So, what are you guys feeling?
Nervousness and uncertainty.
I was thinking like general uneasiness, just sort of.
Devon looks great. He's like, this is like, he like knows what he's here to do, kind of thing.
He's in his transformation era.
Yeah, his skin is glowing.
I think Titus is also a little excited. Finally gonna give the killing blow.
Yeah, I think Odyssey looks thinner again. Yeah, I think that's another thing. Like he it's almost like the opposite thing. Like he doesn't look like unhealthy per se, but he looks thinner again. Like definitely eating less, probably doing less. He's just spending a lot of time being stressed out in a sense.
Yeah, I hear that. That makes sense. So you guys all walk into the room, and some of you takes your seat. Maybe some of you don't. Tandem actually follows in a couple minutes after you guys. Mabel doesn't say anything for a little bit.
Titus slaps his ass when he walks by.
Oh!
Tandem squeezes your arm.
Araceli covers his butt and like sits down, like awkwardly, like nervous.
But eventually Mabel breaks silence and he says, all right, this isn't the last thing we're going to do, but I need everybody to do the best that they can on this. This is important. It's important that we accomplish what I'm about to tell you. It's the only way I think we can start to make a difference and start to bring things down. So, and then he kind of puts like a giant piece of parchment, like scroll parchment, right, and lays it out. And can everybody do me a favor? And can you guys roll me lore checks? History, knowledge, that sort of thing, right?
I got a -3.
Yeah.
I got a 5.
Okay.
I got a 4.
I got a 0.
All right. So Titus and Araceli, you guys look at this map, and it's like blueprints. It's not like here's a map of a beautiful map by a cartographer of this place. It's blueprints of this location. It's to you guys, it looks like just a series of tiny sky islands, like not like maybe a couple hundred feet across, right? But they're all interconnected by like bridges or something like that. But there's one like bigger sky island in the center. It's again still not huge, like it's not city sized or anything. And up from it, Araceli, you're reading it. Titus, you're a little distracted by Tandem apparently.
I'm like,
But he's still nodding his head like,
yeah.
I'm like, I might be dumb, but I'm not as dumb as that guy.
Araceli, you see that in the center of this island is a really tall like building. But it's not clicking, like there's nothing that you like can think of.
Okay.
B and Devon though, not only like do you recognize it like just instantly, like, but you're also, some memories are kind of coming back of what it was like there. You two guys recognize this as Le Piqûre, the perch, right? So this is where dragon riders are brought as children, trained to be dragon riders. That's where dragons are kept. Like most dragons like are kept, bred, that sort of thing, right? It's like Dragon Rider HQ, Cavalier HQ, basically. And it's also the location where Parliament frequently meets. There's kind of a connection between the Cavaliers and the government. They're kind of inextricably linked. So Parliament meets here, but they're not always here, right? Like they have a building that they meet in and they discuss, right? But mostly this place is known for being like Cavalier HQ. You haven't seen blueprints like this in a long time, and I mean it's a lot to like absorb all at once. But it looks like a couple things have changed. Places have been moved around, like buildings and stuff. Mabel says, "Okay," and he brings out a quill, dips it in some red ink, and then starts drawing. And he says, "We're gonna attack La Piqûre. We're going to. If we don't take it over, we're destroying the whole thing." Devon.
Yes.
The first thing that we're going to do is send you and whoever you need in to take out as many dragons as you can, okay?
Heard.
And then I need the rest of you to do 2 things. Help keep dragon riders from the ships while they're bombarding Le Piqûre, the perch, the roost. And I need you to, once the bombardment has slowed down, after we've destroyed enough of their infrastructure, I need you to start sweeping the place, capturing anybody that you can, defending yourselves when you need to, and I need you to take some things, but we'll get to that in a minute, okay? He's looking around at all of you, kind of just like waiting, like, does that make sense? Like, Mabel usually doesn't treat you guys like children, and it's not that he's doing it now, but he's kind of like working through it slowly. I think to anybody who's like emotionally perceptive enough to see this or to notice this, it's kind of like he's walking on eggshells. Maybe, I mean, for obvious reasons, right? But especially maybe because like Devon and B are here and they're old school, and this is a little like, even if they're now atheists, like before they were Christians, you're still like assaulting like a church, and it's like, oh, this is weird.
Like I was raised Catholic, and it's like I wouldn't want to see someone blow up the Vatican.
Yeah, like that's it's a little like messed up. But anyways, he looks at you all like individually and just says, "Does that make sense so far?"
I think during this whole time, especially once she recognizes the map, she shoots Devon a look, And it's the kind of look that's kind of like analyzing your body language and asking if you're okay.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look upset per se, but he does look kind of gone, you know? Like when he when he took a shot at the balloon, how he looked
like
then.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like that like soldiers like, oh, this is what I gotta do.
Yeah, that makes sense. If nobody has any questions or if nobody says anything, then he continues.
You said you look like when you shot at the balloon.
Yeah.
Honestly, definitely like catches it.
Oh, actually, B will raise her hand and be like, Mabel.
Yeah, B?
So I remember we discussed, is there still a plan to get the dragons out?
Yes. The first step of the plan is that Devon is going to go in and get as many dragons out as he can. Devon will give you whatever support we can provide. You and I can talk later about what exactly this will look like, because I'll admit it's not, exactly my forte. But we're gonna do our best.
All right.
Araceli?
Yeah, I think honestly seeing that thing where he has his like mouth like slightly like pursed open. Okay. I get it. But a lot of people are gonna die. And I'm not sure they've earned that fate.
He kind of looks down, Mabel kind of like smirks and looks down. And he says, Araceli, a lot of people will die. We are going to do our best to make sure as few people die as possible, because we're doing this for the right reasons, but there's no avoiding this. There's no way to avoid it. I won't make you kill anybody if that's your choice. I said defend yourselves. I didn't say you're going to start eliminating people, killing people.
So I'm aware of that. I typically don't really kill people anyway. Sometimes it happens because fire. But the thing is, right, is that we're attacking their home, and beyond that, we're bombing them. And I get, what have they done? We've talked about it, and I feel like it's been mentioned. But how bad is it really?
So maybe at that, actually, that's a good segue. Devon and B. We'll start with both of you because this is a shared experience.
Oh boy.
As Cavaliers, your stories are different. Devon, do you want to tell us what, as a Cavalier, originally, your early career, what you did, what you were?
I was a snooty rich kid who raced dragons and was only a part of the Cavalier stuff because it gave him a dragon to race. Yeah.
So, Devon, maybe when Araceli says that, it's a little funny that the kid's asking something like this, right? There's nuances to it, but as you got older, memories of those times as a Cavalier kind of morphed, and you kind of grew to have some understanding about them. For example, being a cool, rich racer Dragon Rider kid is awesome, but as you got older, you're like, oh, those people who were serving us sometimes had chains around their legs, or sometimes there would be little riots outside of the the racetrack, right? And you didn't know why, right? Devon, you're a racer, right? You're doing your job, right? But again, as you got older, you're like, oh, maybe there was something I was missing. You know what I mean? B. Mm-hmm. Why did you get into dragon riding? What were you like as a young Cavalier?
It's so funny because Devon and B's experiences are almost the same. Almost. She didn't ask to become a Cavalier. She didn't really want to, but A, she wanted the dragon because she wanted to become a dragon racer, and B, she had to take up the mantle because she had to take care of the farm and her family because her mother fell ill. And so that was kind of forced upon her. And so she pretty much was a young Cavalier because she had to take care of the farm, and also because she didn't want to be a Cavalier, but she kind of had to because that was her family.
So Yeah, B. I think your perspective is at least a little more holistic as a young person, right, than maybe Devon's was. But it still doesn't, like, it didn't register maybe until you were older that, like, yeah, things were bad, but, like, you know, there were times when agents of the Republic would knock on your family's door and be like, hey, we're seizing the land, and your mom used her status or connections to, like, get out of it. But, like, you know, it only pushed off the inevitable oftentimes. And you both also remember the reason you're out of that game or got out of the Cavalier game was because of a really, we'll say, a really dicey situation where the Republic manipulated events, that there was a problem. They used you guys to eliminate it, or try to eliminate it. And we'll leave it there for now. That's best left unsaid, I think. But Araceli, as a kid, and you are a lowlander, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things that, I mean, they've always kind of shit on us, you know? But I'm not really under their thumb outside of the fact that I'm under them.
Yeah, like literally outside of being physically, literally under them. Yeah. Like, you're not from around, literally not from around here necessarily, right?
Yeah, I mean, my family has helped. Like the family, like they fund. And they, like, give, like, goods and whatnot to the rebellion, and they, like, have that. That's why I'm aware of it, but, like, it's not one of those things where I haven't directly been
affected. Yeah, 100%. And Titus, like, I mean, as a pirate, like, I don't know that you'd talk about your, like, history prior to your life as a pirate, but as a pirate, you're kind of outside the system, too. You know what I mean? Like, B and Devon were agents of the system, even if it was short-lived, right? Neither you nor Araceli were ever really even inside of it, you know? Maybe, like, when you say that, Araceli, Mabel just looks up at you. And he, like, he laughs. He looks up at you. Mabel says, Araceli, after we finish this, stay after and we can talk about that, okay?
Okay.
But he seems amused. Like, he doesn't seem upset with you, just kind of like a... Oh, Araceli. Like,
I think
you know,
Araceli likes that less.
Yeah.
That makes him more annoyed with the situation, yeah.
I'm sure, you know. So, Mabel starts going into the plan more. Devon's going to go in first, and the details are going to be worked out later. Get dragons, as many as he can. Devon, maybe you're looking at the blueprint, and you could probably... It's been, 30 years, 40 years, something like that, since you've been here. You could probably find, like, your way around again, but... Because, you know, you kind of grew up around there, but still, right? It's going to be rough. Devon's going to go in first.
Sorry, like, imagine, like, having worked at Disneyland 40 years ago, and then, like, going to Disneyland there, you're like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah,
you know?
Where am I?
Yeah.
Devon's going to go in and get dragons out first. Mabel seems to indicate that hopefully that won't alert suspicion, though you're not sure why. There's probably a plan to that we'll get discussed later. Then he wants Devon or Titus, or B, basically just not us, Rain and Araceli, to do some scouting around the area. Mabel says, hopefully, riding a dragon and acting like a cavalier means nobody will check for any identification while you scout the area. You don't need to get in too close. I just need to make sure a few things are where I think they are. Does that make sense? Okay. After Devon starts working, after the scouting is done, he says you guys are gonna bring a fleet. Like, I don't think any of you have ever been part of any, is this air warfare? Like naval warfare, you know, like air naval warfare. But Mabel implies that, like, there are gonna be a lot of ships. Like, this isn't like where, you know, it's just tandem kind of backing you guys up, or maybe a couple ships, right? Like, he seems to imply, like, the reason you guys got Vargash out is because, like, she has enough pull to get a lot of people coming with you.
Dude, Vargash is badass.
Speaking of, actually, I think it's kind of not discussed. She's alive. She's okay. She's not going to be fighting, though. Like, she might be on the ship, but, like, people have been, like, some medical personnel have been looking over. She probably broke things that didn't heal right, you know, stuff like that.
No, but she's so S tier, though. we need her to fight, dude.
I mean, hey, man.
Can I raise her core temperature?
If you, out of Mabel, if you probably asked Vargas to fight, if you're like, hey, Vargas, we really need you, she'd probably be like, okay.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, like, literally. Like,
we've seen Vargas. Right?
So, Devon goes in. While that happens, preferably somebody does some scouting. But if Devon's the one who needs to do it because he's the fastest, that's fine too. You guys haven't heard from Jack actually in a little bit.
He's fine.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know. Like Jack hasn't come back or anything like that. But yeah. But anyways, after the scouting, then it's basically an all-out bombardment. The ships, like Mabel seems to imply that like, regardless of what you guys feel, his plan is to just destroy the place, like wreck it. Like, again, like not for the sake of casualties, but he first he says it's a show of it's a symbol, right? It's a symbolic move, but he doesn't add more to that. While the bombardment's happening, he needs you guys to keep people off of the ships, right? Probably fighting some more dragon riders, and then once that can slow down a bit, the ships will continue attacking, but they're not going to bombard for as long. He's going to want you to get 2 items. So, another lore thing. There's a book. It's a document of the Republic that outlines some of its core values from the beginning. Very standard, like, governmental, like, symbolic stuff, right?
Oh, so it's the, we're stealing the fucking...
Declaration of Independence.
Declaration of Independence, and the other one. What's the other one? Our rights.
Bill of Rights.
Bill of Rights, yeah.
For a audience's context, kind of. It's similar-ish, but there's some like religious stuff nonetheless. He wants you guys to take that. He said, but Mabel's like, we're not stealing it. We're going to give it back to the people when this is done. When we can establish something more permanent. I want this to. I don't want this. People need to see this. People need to be able to read this because it's not fair that it's stuck there, imprisoned there. And then there's a sword, another like symbolic thing. It's a like sword, gold like inlays, made of silver, like finely crafted silver, right? Another like symbolic like thing from Cavaliers. This isn't a Republic thing. This is distinctly a Cavalier thing. Being Devon, you both would know, like, this sword, first Cavalier almost engaged the first dragon, spilled the dragon's blood, but the dragon forgave him. It was a whole thing. So, wants you to steal the sword to similar-ish reasons, a whole symbolic thing, right? And then Mabel says, doing all of this might seem extreme, but Silver's been working on something since she joined us. You remember her magic that you saw on the ceiling, I think it was? I wasn't there. But out of character, for those of you who do or do not remember, and your characters may or may not remember, I know they'd all remember, this is a big deal.
Araceli's like, who's Silver?
Oh, that's right, Araceli fucking wasn't there, dude.
Like, I'm sure he's been briefed, like, roughly,
Yeah.
but he's like, alright.
Yeah.
His magic interacts with hers, he doesn't know.
That's right, I forgot. Anyways.
Yeah. Plot points.
Mabel's like, for Araceli, since you weren't there, Silver, I'm sure you've met, and you guys have like once.
Yeah. She was showing me how to draw, and then I tried, and it was really bad. And she was kind of mean to me, so I just left.
And she's like, what? She's a kid.
Yeah,
She's
no,
like a
because like
child.
the concept of being incredibly critical because she's very good at something.
Yeah.
And I was not even close to as good at it, and I'm like, well, how's this? She's like, it's really bad. And like, what did you do wrong? And I was like, I gotta go.
Silver can make pictures move on their own through some sort of magic that I still don't understand. But she's been working on several pieces that were going to fly over several major cities. There's a message from her and I that we hope will let people know that what's happening and that what we're doing is not just for us. Hopefully it'll clear up some things. I know this is dangerous. I know there's a lot to this plan, and I know people are going to die. But I think this is what needs to happen in order for things to get better. And there's a Mabel pauses. Like there's just quiet. Unless somebody says something, there's just quiet for a little bit.
I have a question. So Araceli can obviously raise the core temperature and raise temperatures in places. Do you think that in the same sense he can like lower temperatures by kind of pulling heat towards him?
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, and so I think I think for the first time ever, you guys kind of feel the temperature bottom out a bit. where it just gets chilled in here. I don't know. It's like I think I'm keeping the same face I've had, but the room gets, unlike anything you've dealt with honestly before, it just gets noticeably like a little chilly here.
Maybe Mabel like starts like not shivering, but like like a little tense, right? He says, "We've compiled enough ammunition to last a few hours if we need to, but I'd prefer to finish things quickly if possible. Like I said, your goal after the bombardment ends is to get those items and leave. We're not trying to hurt more people than we need to, but Lepicure needs to fall in order for people to be okay. Devon, you can stay. We need to work through your plan. And if you need anybody else, they can stay as well. But otherwise, you guys are free to go. So, do you guys like leave? Do you say anything? Like, Devon, obviously you have to stay, but you don't have to. But
I don't think Devon's gonna stay. I think he's just gonna stand there. He's not gonna like ask anyone to stay with him.
okay. Does anybody else? Do you guys like have any questions, or do you just head out?
Yeah, Trice's like, yeah, let's blow him up.
Araceli and B.
B's gonna stay.
Okay.
Well, I think I stay to get my talking to.
Actually, he says he'll talk to you about it later, right? So,
Okay.
Mabel says, Araceli, I need to finish talking to Devon about some things. You can stay if you'd like. I don't think there's any, like, pertinent information that you need to, like, learn right now. But if you want to stay, that's fine.
Cool. And I just walk out.
Okay. No, you're good.
In where I was standing, my feet had burned little feet marks in there because I was heating up so much and drawing everything in.
I like that. Maybe like there's like not like smoke, but like that like little line of like smoke, and like Mabel's a little quiet for a second.
Okay.
Hello, and welcome back to the middle of the episode. Our first middle of the episode for the year. Happy New Year, friends. Our first ad of the year comes from our friends over on Tale of the Manticore.
Are you looking for a D&D podcast with a dark side? Something more like Game of Thrones and less like Monty Python? Tale of the Manticore is part dark fantasy audio drama, part solo D&D RPG. There's no plot armor here. The dice make all the important decisions. Join me as I resurrect the excitement, wonder, and emotion of old school D&D. Made for a mature audience, Tale of the Manticore is both a fiction and a game. It's the story where chaos rolls.
Tale of the Manticore is a really cool D&D audio drama that if you want something a little bit more on the serious dark fantasy side, you should definitely check out. Before we get back to our regularly scheduled programming, I just want to say again, Happy New Year, friends. We have a lot of really cool things planned this year for the Trenchcoat, and we're really excited to show them to you. So, if you want to check that out and you want to see updates and stuff like that, be sure to follow our social medias at 5 Gyms in a Trenchcoat on Instagram and TikTok and Threads now. And at 5 Gyms Official on Twitter and Blue Sky. Alrighty, let's get back to the episode. Very tense, lots of scary things. It's the finale arc. Back to our regularly scheduled programming.
B, would you like to stay while Devon and I talk?
She just nods her head.
Okay. So, Devon, I'm sure you remember, and he gets out his quill, or he dips it in some more ink. I'm not going to roleplay out the thing. He starts drawing, and there are a lot of stables, like, around, like, the actual, like, main building, right? Think like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but, like, taller, right? Like, structurally, right? That's what it kind of looks like. But it's not leaning, obviously. But that's, like, the main place where, like, a lot of the, like, Parliament meets at the bottom, and then some Dragon Rider meetings happen up further levels, right? The stables are around that, kind of towards the edges of areas, because it's easy to, wrangle dragons into the stables up on the outside. So, Devon, you need to figure out how to get dragons to follow you, one, right? And there are hundreds of dragons here, right? Like, I don't know how Devon feels about that, but no matter what, it's going to be difficult to get dragons out, right? Not only do you need to get a bunch of them out, you need to make sure that you either need to put them in cages, which means you need to start making cages now or purchasing them, right? Or ask Mabel to. or put them on ships with crew members who the only dragon experience they have is with you guys, or killing dragon riders, right? Or you fly them somewhere and you hope to God that you can keep leading them, because it's gonna be tough. Asas Reina would have trouble like leading 100 dragons. Like Siren, I mean, you know, who knows, right? So you have a bunch of stables on the outside that you need to hit, and you need to figure out how you're gonna like wrangle these dragons and either store them or, you know, get them to travel. Mabel says like he'll give you what he can, and you can ask for ships if you need like a ship or two, right? But it's a tough ask, you know what I mean?
Well, Devon's been like, because of his plans, he's been like, you know, dabbling in like researching, flocking dragons and, you know, like all that kind of thing.
Totally.
And these dragons are like well trained.
Most of them will be, but there are going to be some that are young or like, you know, rowdy, you know.
Yeah.
But most of them will be pretty well trained.
If it's like a majority, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Roll me a lore/history.
That's a 4.
So you're thinking, and back when you were a kid, back in the day, you know what young kids do these days, but back in the day, you'd rear a dragon from hatching an egg. You'd hatch an egg, you'd rear the dragon yourself, you'd train them yourself, right? If that's still the way things go, then most of the dragons should be pretty well trained, and if the standards are roughly what they were back in your day, then probably. But you guys would sometimes like capture young wild dragons that like were like children, or like young, like didn't have a home, didn't have a family, whatever. So maybe there's a couple of those in there. Maybe some of them will be a little more wild. Who's to say, right? So, what do you think, Yvonne?
Remember that Cavalier girl that we recruited? What's her name? Jane?
Yes.
She's far younger than me or B. Maybe she has a better understanding.
Like feel on this stuff?
Yeah, I'd like her in my group.
Okay. So, you want to make sure that Jane is with you guys?
Yeah.
With you, at least specifically?
Actually, I think Devon might, like, pausing, like, thinking. It's like, where's Jane? Remember that little girl? We should get her in here.
So, Mabel stops, and, like, for the audience's sake, you say, like, where's Jane? And maybe some flashbacks. Jane, like, has done a lot of, like, scouting because she's the most currently well-traveled. Like, as a Cavalier, she moves around a lot, so she's the best person to, like, she knows the skies almost as well as you guys do, but she also knows how to navigate the Republic a little better than you do, because, again, you guys have been outsiders for a long time. So she's been almost like a spy scout sort of thing. Flashback further towards the present. Mabel says, I think Jane gets back from a mission tomorrow, but we can talk to her if you'd like about her joining you.
Yeah, she's younger than me.
That's true.
Okay. Anyways. And she probably has a better handle on how they're doing shit nowadays over there.
I think that's fair to say.
So I don't know if I want to make any plans without knowing full and well what I'm going into. I want to get all of those dragons out.
Okay. Then we can table this for later until Jane's back. Maybe once she's rested. She's been gone for a while. Mabel agrees to table it for now. B, do you want to add anything? Like, are you just kind of listening?
I'm just kind of listening, just trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, sorry. What's the timeline on this?
So this is 2 weeks after Vargash. You guys have 2 weeks to prepare.
Oh.
And then you're leaving.
Yeah, sorry. I'd hate to fuck with the timeline, but I think
It's all right.
yeah.
It's okay. And maybe, like, he says, I'll finish some work here, but thank you, Devon. And he looks up at you, and he's, like, kind of smiling, and maybe, like, even though there's still 2 weeks, it's kind of, like, a somber, like, it's been good, Devon. It's been nice, you know?
Yeah.
For whatever that's worth in a gaze, you know, in an expression. Do you turn and, like, start to head out?
Yeah.
Okay. B, like, Mabel kind of just smiles at you, like, yeah, not, like, in any weird way, just like hi, B.
I'm gonna stay behind.
Okay. Mabel says, would you like Devon to close the door on his way out?
Yeah.
Devon, if you wouldn't mind, and he kind of points to the door.
Yeah, he'll just close the door on his way out.
Okay. Is everything all right, B?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to go over something with you before we start, I guess, really getting into the nitty-gritty.
Of course. What's on your mind?
So, given the nature of all of this, and I guess not necessarily the air of finality, but the air of finality, I just wanted to run by you first. Is it okay if I go on this mission?
I think he's kind of like, he tries to hide it, but maybe B picks up. He's a little taken aback, like surprised, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you suggest it. And he looks down, he bites his lip and thinks, yeah, B, if that's what you'd like to do, then that's okay. I'll be frank, I was thinking about going myself as well. And I'll also say, I don't know that it's a good idea for both of us to go.
I'd agree.
And he like kind of swallows, right? And he says, but if you'd like to be the one to go, then that's okay. I can stay back here.
I would like to go. I've done enough hiding in my lifetime that I think it's time for me to take that back. So.
Okay. Whatever you need.
I just wanted to prepare you for me leaving.
Thank you, B.
I'll try to come back in one piece, though.
Please do. I don't know what we would do without you. And, do me a favor. Mm-hmm. Make sure Araceli gets out. For me. If you can. Please.
And I think there's just like a pause. And then she's like, yeah, don't worry, I won't let him do anything stupid.
We can try our best, at least. So yeah, maybe, like, Mabel, like, kind of backs up in his chair, and gets to working again.
Yeah. And then I just kind of, like, tap the table, and I'm like, I'll let you get back to work.
Thank you, B. I'll keep you updated.
Do you want me to close the door on the way out?
Please.
Alright.
Kind of has his head in his hands as you close the door. So then, you guys are all back on the ship in the actual present, the true present, right? And again, maybe you're not all thinking about the exact same time, but it's on everybody's mind, that discussion, right? It's a little heavy, very different from how things kind of started, you know what I mean? Mabel's always been a little serious with his, like, debriefs, right? But it was uncomfortable for the first time in a long time. And then you guys have another, like, your minds continue, and there's still 2 weeks of preparation to do. Araceli, one of the first things that happens, Mabel sits down with you, and he calls you. Actually, he doesn't call you in. He goes to the, like, cafeteria, the mess hall with you, and he sits down at the table, and you guys are eating, and he's starting to talk to you about, I don't know how much it goes over Araceli's head, like, political philosophy. Like, I'm not going to get into it, right? But he starts going into, like, a lot of, like, thinkers of the past couple hundred years, right? Origin of the Republic, like, you know, what it stood for. And he doesn't seem to be so much, like, telling you why things are bad, so much as illustrating, like, what's wrong with the system. Does that make sense? In his opinion.
You know, so I think one thing that's interesting about that is because Odyssey said it before, and his big thing is that he just thinks everyone should have access to freedom.
Yeah.
And to him, freedom's been flight, right?
Yeah.
Gaining access to the upper world and, like, flying and shit has been huge for him. And so I think that in going that, maybe it does go over his head a bit, less than the fact that it's like he doesn't understand it, but more the fact that he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
That it's like, oh, like, I get that those old guys were saying shit, but
yeah, like,
hey, you know, but I think along with that, though, it does demonstrate that perhaps there's
like a dissonance there of like, you know, a disconnect. Yeah.
Yeah, that not everyone can fly until one of these things. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, again, I'm not going to get into like what Mabel says exactly, right? He like, I think towards the end of your conversation, I don't know if he picks up that you're like not clicking exactly, but he starts to get a little more like tactile, like realistic, tangible with what he's telling you. Things like even if you can't see it, that doesn't mean it's not there, and that people can be hurting. Like, even if a system's okay, that doesn't mean it can't be better. And if people refuse to be better, again, a lot of stuff like that, right? Again, I don't know how much
the people have an unable.
Yeah, right. No, 100%. Maybe again, it doesn't really like click, but Mabel seems to be trying his best to impart some whatever he thinks is wisdom onto Araceli, right?
I think I grab Mabel's hand and I'm like, hey, I'm here. I'm gonna go, and I'll make sure everyone's cool and safe. So it'll be okay.
He kind of is again a little taken aback, and he says, "Oh, thank you, Araceli. We need that. We need people like that. We need people like you, and I'm glad that you're here and doing that. Thank you." And
then I just I gotta read more books, and walks off.
Yeah, so maybe Araceli walks off, but there's just Mabel, and he's kind of just looking at you as you leave. You're not looking back, but he's just kind of looking at you, and you're gone. Mm-hmm. So yeah, preparations. Devon, Jane gets back, and she looks tired. You guys don't see her that much again because Mabel seems to have trusted her a lot, considering that she was a recently converted Cavalier. But apparently, he has kind of a penchant for that because Jack, is in that realm. You know what I mean?
Jack has straight up murdered people for Mabel.
Well, yeah, that's very true. But Jane gets back and she looks tired. Devon, you see her land with a dragon, and she looks exhausted. So you're like, oh yeah, maybe later. No, you go up to her now. She looks it's fine. Obviously, she just looks beat. She's been out on a mission for probably a week or so.
Yeah, and she's gonna walk up and be like, "Hey, sorry, I need you."
Devon, hi, and she kind of, I'm gonna roll actually. She says, "Oh, of course. What's on your mind?" And she's kind of rubbing her eyes and her temples.
We're gearing up towards, well, you might not know, but I suck with words. Come on, let's go.
Okay.
He's just gonna just find, someone who can explain it better than he can.
Okay. For sure. Do you take her to one of the team, or do you take her to Mabel?
To Mabel.
Okay. Jane was following you and says, "Oh, Devon, is everything okay? What happened?"
You're just you're needed. We'll talk about it. I'm bad. I'm sorry. Let's go.
Okay. Says, "Oh, okay. Is everything okay? Did anybody get hurt?"
Oh no, not yet. Let's go.
Okay. So yeah, I think Jane keeps asking questions that apparently don't get many answers.
On your guys' way there, honestly, he's walking around, he's like, "Oh, Jane, you can help save the dragons?"
What? What dragons?
He just leaves.
Yeah, we'll get into it once we're in the office.
So bring her to Mabel's office, and Mabel's not there.
Oh.
He's out of his office.
I didn't think this through.
So Devon, do you attempt as best you can to repeat what Mabel told you?
Yeah.
Roll me a flat.
-1.
Alright, so, Devon, in your mind, you're I know what I need to say.
Yeah.
But saying it, you're oh, that's not technically what that was, or oh, that could be misconstrued, or oh, that's not actually a part of the plan, I was just kind of thinking about that, And Jane looks, a little horrified. Roll me a, what's it called? What's that skill called? Oh, you guys, I'm a
Rapport?
DM. Yes. Roll me a rapport.
A 1.
Oh.
Well, okay. Maybe, again, in your, scatterbrainedness, you forget until you recognize the horror on her face. You just told, relapsing Catholic or whatever, a lapsing Catholic that you're blowing up the Vatican. And you just keep going, right? It's... You think about it, you recognize, oh, she's probably really messed up by that information, but I gotta tell her the rest of the plan.
Not just about your church.
Yeah,
Going up your church where your friends are.
Literally.
Yeah.
Remember,
you know that church you got baptized at where the old ladies would give you pancakes in the morning? Yeah, we're gonna blow that shit up.
She's not even been with you guys a year. I just want to remind everybody. I mean,
That's literally not my brother. It's on her.
you mean on
Devon, yeah.
Yeah. Nonetheless, you finish. Jane kind of looks at you. Her bags under her eyes, like look, her hair strung out. She looks a little horrified, but okay. And you need me? Why?
Oh, it's fresher in your mind what it's like over there. Devon is so bad at this. There's a reason why he's a soldier and he just does what he's told. I want to get all of the dragons out.
Okay.
And I want to know what I'm going into. And I'd like you to help me.
Okay. It's like, for your information, Devon, it's like 4 p.m. And Jane says, can I sleep? I'll help you, but can I sleep?
I'm so sorry. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll talk to you tomorrow, Devon. And she just turns and walks away.
It was so bad.
Yeah, what a nightmare that was.
Dude, for real.
That was rough.
He's going through something, dude.
Yeah.
He's trying his best. It's not good enough.
But Jane leaves. She gets back to you the next day. And she starts pointing out, like, oh, this is, like, they've done some reorganization, Devon. Like, it's been decades, right? This is where certain dragons, like, they keep dragons in different ways now. Like, there's new technologies for, like, saddles, stables, right? A lot of stuff that you're like, oh, that'd be really nice to have, actually. But they also keep dragons mixed more. Originally, when you were a kid, or when you were training, they kept dragons like of the same type, like in roughly the same place. That led to fights a lot of the time because big dragons like to fight other big dragons. It's like, you know what I mean? But now they mix them a lot more so that happens at least a little less. So you can't really plan around like what types of dragons you're going to wrangle. You're just wrangling random ones. I mean, functionally, right? Like, I'm sure there's Jane doesn't know the intricacies of the stabling system because it wasn't her job. But for you, that means, all right, I'm just grabbing dragons. There's no rhyme or reason to this. I'm just getting them. Like, getting like whatever I can get. You know what I mean? Eventually you guys get to Mabel and he gives you a smaller version of the map, right? And you start like drawing on it, right? The stables are like 7 of them. And they're all spread out relatively like in about a mile radius. So there's a lot to like, a lot of room, like a lot of ground to cover. You know what I mean? But Jane says she'll help you. There's also some like, Jane suggests using bait. At least to like get dragons out and to maybe have them follow you at first. She's got no suggestions after that. That's kind of on you. But that's her like contribution to like the plan. Maybe we can use bait to get them out, you know? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that
Just get the little treats bag and shake it.
Yeah.
Do what Jack did.
Yeah.
carrot on a stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, baiting to get them, and then I think the idea of having like a few ships to land them on and like corral, is that
Yes,
the word?
yes.
Like and keep them on in order to get them out of there might be good, because trying to fly them out might be
Difficult.
too difficult.
You would need to alpha dragon it.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah, and I don't think Siren's up to that.
Okay, then I think that means we're gonna have to train some people on how to handle dragons. And she like looks around, 2 weeks to do it.
Easy.
Okay. And she like kind of like purses her lips. Okay.
Because I already have like a few people that help me around with the the roost, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like you've seen Titus like training Jakira too. Like it's
True,
not
yeah.
non-doable. And yes, you do have helpers, right? But the tough thing about this is that they need to. You can bring some of the people who are not like a lot of the people who help you at the roost are non-soldiers, non-sailors, right? You can bring them, but they'll be in the middle of a battle, right? So that might be a little tough. Or you can train like. The situation is you can either take some of the people from the roost, train some new ones, and kind of have like some non-soldiers among the soldiers, so they're going to have to try and weather all the stresses of war while they do it. Or you can train like a bunch of like Tandem's men and some of Vargish's like friends, right? they'll at least withstand the war better, like the battle better, but you got to teach them a lot of information in a really short amount of time.
I think I'd rather with the people who are weathered for war, because I can't have people going into shock seeing us bombard an entire, like, thing.
Yeah.
Well, I need them to focus for me.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I'd probably do that.
Okay.
And Devon trains dragons, which are the stubbornest things. He could train a human, sure.
Oh, man. All right, cool. So then, yeah, I guess Devon, just to make sure I understand, the rough plan is to, like, get there. You are the first person that gets to act, right? So you take the ships you need, and I guess you and Jane, right? And you start getting dragons out of the stables, and then taking back on the ships, right? That's kind of your job.
Yeah, baiting them out, getting them to follow me to the ships at least. That should be easier than trying to get them all the way flocking me all the way where I need to go. Hopefully.
Yeah.
And then getting on the ships and corralling them with help.
This sounds like a foolproof plan. I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing you, Talon.
First I couldn't tell if you were being sarcastic.
No, I'm being sorry. I'm only teasing you a little bit.
Oh, okay.
There's no good way to do this, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey, I think it's a pretty good one for what you got.
Yeah, and Tanlin's not the best at making plans.
And
Tanlin's a little dum-dum.
And hey, man, Devon struggles with words sometimes, you know?
Devon is me. So Devon is a part of me, so...
That's deep, bro. So, you and Jane are working on that. That's probably the most of your 2 weeks, is now training people. Tanley, can you give me some rolls?
Good lord.
Dragon Rider -1.
That's
What's your rapport,
a
actually?
6, with the -1. My rapport is a +1.
Okay, no, we'll make it flat then. So
That's a 7.
That's a 7, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so roll me 2 more.
That one's a 5,
1 more.
and that one's a 4.
Okay, 4, 5, 7. Okay, so you grab whatever people you can and start training them, like who seem like either sturdy or like maybe interested in dragons, you know, and you're training them the best you can in the 2 weeks you have. Jane's helping you kind of like as your assistant, right? Like an assistant coach almost. And the only dragons, I mean, you have your dragons to like show, but there are so many more breeds out there that have so many other intricacies. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to this, but they seem to be catching some of it. Like most of them aren't dumb, and you're doing a good job teaching them, for the most part. So,
Because the basics usually cover what needs to be done. Yeah, not everyone can Chris Pratt it like Devon can.
Yeah.
But you know,
No shit.
like
Intrinsic, dude.
dragons are social creatures. If you learn like how they interact with each other, you can learn how to interact with them, kind of thing.
yeah. So yeah, that's your 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks, for the most part, right? Don't worry, I'll come back to you just in a minute. Titus. Mm-hmm. What do those 2 weeks, next 2 weeks look like for you? Before, like the last 2 weeks before the...
You know, I think you just probably be helping Devon with training the Dragon Riders.
Yeah? You think you're going to help?
Yeah.
Do you try and get Jakira along?
Yeah. Because, I mean, she has the second most training other than us. So.
Yeah, that's true. By default, she is like the second most, outside of Jane, obviously. Yeah, so then, Titus, maybe like one day you and Jakira are training alone. Like, you know, like you guys have gone off or something like that and to talk. And Jakira, maybe you guys are like just taking a breath. You're both sweaty, like you both have been exercising a lot, working hard. And there's a moment of silence. And then she says, are you ready for what's about to happen?
Oh, I've never been more ready for anything in my life.
There's a pause, and maybe she like looks at you, like kind of pointedly, and she says, okay, I'm glad that you feel ready for this, Titus. I just want you to know, you need to make it back, okay?
Don't worry about me. I got the Titus mask. Nothing could happen when I got that on.
Those men didn't die so that you could fall now, okay?
Yeah. So, Titus isn't good about talking about himself. He's like, yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, and we got this new crew to look after, so and Tempest seems to be warming up to them, so.
There's more work to do, Titus.
Oh. But is there, like, let's say we win this, right? Let's say that somehow we pull this off, and Mabel is in charge, or B. Mm-hmm. Would I be betraying everything that Titus stands for if I stick with them afterwards?
I think they're like, she doesn't respond for a second, right? It's a good question. And she says, I never said that the work that needs to be done has to do with this. And she kind of like looks around, like at the island you guys are on, like, towards the HQ. I just said there's more things to be done. Titus has more things to do. And I think you're the person to do it.
Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, I'll do my best. Finger guns.
She says, "Okay, Titus. Okay." And then she like moves on, right? Maybe it lingers in your mind a little bit, but Jakira seems to at least move on. And that's where we're gonna end it for today. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of 5 Gems in a Trench Coat. Yeah, we have some plug to stuff. We have some stuff to plug.
If you really like this and you like what we're doing here, you can go ahead and follow us on at 5Gems Official on Twitter, and then at 5Gems in a Trench Coat on everything else, correct?
It's 5Gems Official on Twitter and Blue Sky, and at 5Gems in a Trench Coat on Instagram, TikTok, and we're now on Threads, so if you want to follow us there.
Amazing. Also, if you really like what we're doing here and you enjoy our content, we have more content that we make. Almost all of us are on Adavans Armory, ADAVANS, at Adavans Armory on everything. We make a lot of like 5e homebrew content, really fun. We have a great time doing it. Always have stuff in the works. Tanner, I believe you're working on something?
So I have a little webcomic I'm doing. It's called Wisteria Falls. You can find us at Wisteria_Falls on Instagram. And if you search Wisteria Falls on Webtoon, you'll find us. It's a fun little thing about a little town.
And hi. Hey, it's me. Gremlin Frog Art. There's 2 G's in there. I do art on a lot of shit. I do a lot. Anyways, yeah.
And, you can also join our Discord. You can hang out with us. We're super fun in there. And you can also visit our website if you want to learn a little bit more about us, if you want to find out where to listen, and all that fun stuff at 5gemsinatrenchcoat.com.
Yeah, and we're also working towards getting new audio equipment. And if you feel like supporting that, or feel like supporting us getting beverages, we drink a lot of energy drinks on recording days, you can go ahead and support us on our Ko-Fi. We have a Ko-Fi.
That should be ko-fi.com/5gemsinatrenchcoat.
Yeah, and I think that'll be everything, correct?
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Hello. Thank you for listening to 5 Gems in a Trench Coat. Be sure to follow us on social media at 5 Gems in a Trench Coat on Instagram and TikTok, and at 5 Gems Official on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can also join our Discord. You can find out how to join on any of our social media accounts or on our website, 5gemsinatrenchcoat.com. If you liked the episode, please rate us 5 stars and leave a little comment. And if you'd like to support us further, you can leave us a little tip on our Ko-Fi at ko-fi.com/5gemsinatrenchcoat. Thanks, and catch you in the next episode.